So we decided that probably the best thing was to start from scratch again and build a kind of solid foundation such that it was built in the right way from scratch, and it was easier to scale the organization. So we kept the old code and sold that to our current customers, and we were so lucky that Atomistics just had a new release that never had been released. So we started with releasing that, and that made customers happy for quite a while that there was this new release. So they thought we were doing great, releasing this great version from the beginning. However, that was actually something that was already ready, and we just needed to push the button. So in the meanwhile, we got time to build a new platform, and we decided to start with just making a TAT binding code. So we would have something new, and then afterwards we would add the DFT onto the new platform. So that grow into what's today is the Quantum ATK. So it's a code with, many different capabilities, plane waves, LCAO, semi-empirical force field, NGF, and a GUI that is also kind of which you can add many different things to. So you can see it's expanded quite a lot since we made the decision to make this new platform, but it could only expand this much because we made this decision back in 2009 to kind of start from scratch again and have this broad platform. So just a little pictures from Quantum-Wise. So we started in this office here, and this is a picture with me and my PhD student that I hired to help off, and some of the other employees, Mads and Søren, and so we used Scrum. So this is this board you see in the back. That's a Scrum board. So and I think this is how most people do efficient software development today. So this is also how things are done in places like Google and Facebook. And the way it works is you have the Scrum board, and then you have a sprint of 3 weeks, and you list all the tasks you need to do in 3 weeks, and it starts as stickers in the top, and as you progress with each task, then they progress down to the bottom, and once they're at the bottom, then you're done with the task. And the thing is that after 3 weeks, all these nodes should be at the bottom. Maybe some of you know Anders Blom. So he's was our sales guys. So he was the one going out to conferences and customers. So maybe some of you have met him at a conference, and you can see he's never at home. So he's out meeting customers and at conferences. But sometimes we could find him out having a beer after a busy week. And this is Anders here sitting to the left, and you can see me to the right. So this were really fun days. It's great making a startup, and I'm sure that the people at Virtual Lab, they have the same experience, that it's really fun making a company, building things, and having customers. So this is so we also grew quite fast at Quantum-Wise, but this time it was organic growth. So we simply got new customers, and it turned out in 2009 the time was more ripe for this kind of software for the semiconductor industry, because now the technology was really at the atomic scale, and most of the semiconductor companies, they needed atomic scale modeling software, and we were the the market leader in this field. So things were going very well. So we also had a lot of parties, kind of celebrating all our success stories. So this was fun times. Here we moved again to new offices. You can see the Scrum board again in the back of the room. So this was something that we did all the time in QuantumWise, and they're still doing today also under the ownership of Synopsys. You can see more parties. So that was fun times. I mean, we had a lot of parties going on. So yeah. And you can see things were actually going quite well. You can see this is some of the revenues in Atomistics and QuantumWise. So you can see there in the beginning, actually, it worked quite well in Atomistics. At least the revenue was growing, but you can see in 2008, this was when I left, and they got the new management that was very commercial, but actually they couldn't really satisfy the customers. So when we picked it up in 2009, we were able to grab the old customers and kind of get off where we started from before. And you can see that we actually started to get some traction, and the blue one, that is industrial customers. You can see it's really the industry that started to take off there in 2011. And we continued to do this growth in revenue for the next years, and we were awarded several prizes in Denmark for being one of the fastest growing companies. And you can see the number of employees. You can see that how we peaked in Atomistics, and it took several years in QuantumWise to kind of peak up the same number of employees as in Atomistics. So why did Atomistics fail? I mean, we did a lot of things right. I mean, we established a product from scratch, got market recognition, but simply we hired too many people in too short time. So many were not really productive, even though most of the employees were great people. But if it's not organized right, I mean, then it can be difficult to get new employees really deliver. And one of the things was there was not a clear management structure. So in Atomistics, we had VCs, and in the beginning it was fine because they let us run the company. But once they started to want to micromanage things, then things went really wrong, because then nobody knows who's really has the leadership and who should we listen to, and it's not really clear what should be done. And we didn't have so it was often you say that making a company successful, 5% is the idea and 95% the execution. So I think we had the right idea, but we were missing the execution. And maybe also we had too little experience because most of us were academics and hadn't tried running a company before. But we really learned a lot from Atomistics, and once we got the opportunity to start again and buy the buy the bankruptcy estate, then we really had we have got a good education. We have got a $15 million education in how not to run a company. So we just needed to do the opposite. And this is what we did. in QuantumWise, and you can see there we didn't have the same peak in employees. I mean, it was a steady state of new employees, and we didn't hire more than once we had new employees. The old ones were well integrated and productive, and we were ready to take on new employees, and we had enough revenue to sustain these new employees. So we had a clear strategy, good execution, lean organization, and I had the majority stake in the company. So there was really a clear leadership that I could really decide what was going to happen. Yeah, and then the last thing is also you need good timing. I mean, so in QuantumWise, we came at a time where the semiconductor industry started to use atomic scale modeling, and we were the kind of go-to guys for this. So one of the big players in for simulation software for the semiconductor industry is Synopsys. So all our customers was using the Synopsys TCAD software, and they asked us to integrate our software with Synopsys software. So we knew Synopsys quite well because in Atomistics when we wanted to get VC funding, we had to have an exit plan, and we said, okay, there's this these companies, Synopsys and Cadence, and they are just buying all small companies in this field, and they pay a premium for getting access to this company. So at that point, we identified Synopsys as one of the exit strategies of Atomistics. However, we never really got onto the radar of Synopsys because at that point our technology was not so important for the semiconductor industry. But in 2015, we started to get on the radar of Synopsys, and actually in QuantumWise, I never thought about selling the company. So there, the focus was always on just running the company and making it a great company, and actually I didn't think about selling it. But then we got into contact with Synopsys, and it made a lot of sense to integrate our tools with the Synopsys tools. And frankly speaking, I mean, they also offered a quite good price for the company. So in 2017, I said, okay, yeah, let's do it, and we agreed on a price, and then there came the process of actually selling the company, and that can be quite a stressful process, because what you decide first is what is the price, but then there's all kind of details that needed to be decided afterwards, and all kind of legal stuff. And if you're used to running your own company and you feel kind of secure, you are in control, then in a process where you're selling, you really need to sign a lot of things where you lose control. And they want the full control, and they want to be able to sue you if you have not delivered what they asked for. So I was not. I didn't like this process, and there was a lot of things that I didn't feel comfortable with signing. And but it's a negotiation. But you can't expect if you come into a negotiation and you say, okay, I give you that, then give me that this. I mean, basically you have to be ready to walk off the table to get what you want. So it was a really stressful period in my life, having these huge numbers, and then you should be able to just leave the table to get some security in all these terms that you need to to sign. So. And at the same time, nobody at the company must know that you are actually negotiating to sell it. So the employees, they couldn't understand what I spending all this time on, because there's a lot of details that you need to understand, and you cannot just have a lawyer. The lawyer will always tell you, don't sign that, don't sign that. But if you don't sign it, you will never sell your company. So in the end, it's a case of trust. So we came into we came to the finish line at the end, but it took 6 months, and it almost crashed just before the finish line. But we crossed the finish line, we signed the papers, and actually nobody have ever looked at the papers again. Maybe all the things that the lawyers told me that I should be afraid of, maybe it was not so important after all. In 2017, I sold the company, and I worked for Synopsys for some time. It's a great company. I love to work there, but in the end, I wanted to do something else. So today, I work as a tech investor and advisor for a number of companies. So it's kind of some different areas. So I work some in quantum technologies, clean tech, also on some software platforms, and also in life science. And then I also work as an advisor for a large VC fund called Novo Seeds, which are interested in also investing in quantum technology. So I look at different companies together with them. So and then I also try to not work too much. Just a little about these companies. Let me just say a little about Brain Capture. So Brain Capture, in Brain Capture, we try to make a cheap way to record EEG. So today, to record an EEG, so this is a kind of recording of the electrical activity in the brain. You need an instrument that costs $100,000. So we have that on a hospital in the West, but in the third world countries, this is simply too expensive. So what we are developing is a cheap way to record EEG using artificial intelligence and an iPad. And it turns out this is very important for the diagnosis of epilepsy. Epilepsy is the most common nerve sickness in the world. It's a huge problem in third world countries because children with epilepsy, they cannot concentrate on their schoolwork. So usually they don't get any education, but with some cheap medication, they can actually take an education. However, there are different types of epilepsy, so you cannot just give them medicine. You need to record an EEG and have an expert to look at it to find out what should the medication be. And that's simply not possible in third world countries. But this is what we are now enabling with the technology in Brain Capture. So I think time is up. I will not tell so much about some of the other companies I'm working on. So I hope that you enjoyed listening to my story. And it's always quite strange giving these seminars on the internet. You don't know if anybody listened or what. You don't have any feedback, but I hope that it was enjoyable to some of you. And this is just my daughter's view of Quantum Wise. You can see this is a number of people connected through atoms. Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Stockbro, for your very interesting presentation. Of course, it's always interesting to hear about your story and the story of QuantumWise. And in fact, I find your story particularly inspiring for all young scientists who are looking to start a business in general, since, of course, still today is difficult for all students with PhDs to continue doing a purely academic career. So it's always good to see examples of success stories in the field of material science, computational material science in particular, that have projects that have succeeded outside of academic research as well. So of course, at this point, I would like to invite you to take a look at the Q&A, although I see that there are no questions for a moment. Of course, I invite all participants of the workshop to please to feel free to propose any type of questions that they have at this stage. Of course, this is our final talk or presentation in the entire series of workshops. So this is really we are reaching the very final moments of our entire workshop series now. But if you have any questions for Dr. Stockbro, this is the right time to ask them in the Q&A section. So I propose maybe to wait a couple of minutes more to see if people are still thinking about any initiatives.
Thanks, Gabriel. And I have one small question, very short, for the Stockbro. You know, so I'm a Mingy Park from the virtual lab. So we are doing the web-based simulation platform business. So what is the critical point for the investment, like materials or some chemistry, like a simulation platform for them?
I'm not sure I understand your question. So what is the critical point for the customers or for the venture capitalist or?
Yeah, I mean the venture capital, because there are very important. There are many important things for example, for the pitch deck or some perspective or some revenue or something like that. So I really want to know about what is the critical point for the investment to this kind of business areas.
Yeah, so actually in Atomistics, we had a lot of problems getting investments. I mean, they thought that we were too academic. I got into contact with a businessman that had a track record starting businesses, and he also had a PhD in chemistry, but he also have had an MBA from INSEAD, and he have worked for IBM with sales and worked for a number of other IT companies. So he was kind of just returned to Denmark, and he was out of job, and so I included him in the founder group, and after he came on board, he was very good at kind of presenting the company, and then they thought it was a good team because now we had the commercial aspect in terms of him, and that was the tipping point for getting the investment.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, I can see that in the meantime there are a couple of questions.
Q&A session, Gabriel, please.
Yeah, there are a couple of questions that have popped up in the Q&A. Yeah, so I invite Dr. Stockbro to take a quick look. So you can access Q&A section at the bottom of your screen.
Yeah. Okay, so there's one, whatever I'm considering in new investments in the future. Yes, but I'm doing that, so I'm looking into different options now. But what happened as a VC person in the beginning, I was quite quick to invest, but then as you invest more, you find out how many things that can go wrong. So I've been quite picky here lately, and the last several companies I've looked at, I have not invested in, but I mean, I still um, um, look into new opportunities and new investments. Now I'm also part of some funds where I have where I put in some money in the funds, and then I help the fund evaluate different options and then come with suggestions to the fund, and then I participate in the round. In this way, I get part of a team that kind of look into new opportunities, and also it's possible to contribute with large amounts. So when I invest by myself, it's usually quite small amounts, and it's on an early stage, such that I can get a reasonable kind of stake in the company. Then from your own or hearing about others' experiences, are there any differences transitioning between academia and industry in Europe, the US, and elsewhere? I think at the time when I went from academia to industry, I couldn't keep my I couldn't keep my position at the university. So I had to give up. So I had to run quite a lot of risk. I think things have changed. I mean, now it's more often that professors maybe get sabbatical for 1 or 2 years and work in a company. So, and also I think many universities, they appreciate if people have been out away from the academia. So yeah, so I don't know. I don't have any experience in Asia, or I think in the US. I don't have any personal experiences. So my impression is that at least in Silicon Valley, there's a lot of funding. So I think a lot of people leave academia for industry, but I don't know how easy it is to get back again.
All right, so it looks like we have exhausted all the questions at this point. So unless people have any additional question, I then propose to put an end to today's workshop. So thank you very much again, Dr. Stockwell. Actually, there's one more question which has appeared now. If you have yeah, I will let you read it, Dr. Stockwell.
Yeah, if you have industry experience, you can rejoin academia through German applied science. Okay.
Actually, it's not quite a question, it's more like a comment, but anyway, thank you very much, Dorothea Poulsen, for pointing this out. Of course, I mean, this is actually, from my perspective, this is a very common dilemma, if I can call it like that, which many young PhD students typically face. So after they graduate from their PhD, so a lot of scientists, young researchers in the field of ab initio or atomistic simulation typically are faced with the hard decision to make whether to continue in academic research, so doing postdocs typically, which can be take a long time and can lead to relatively unstable lifestyle, at least in the beginning. So it's a bit of a gamble and hoping that you will get a professorship in the end, or to jump straight into industry positions. And of course, based on my personal experience, it's still today not very easy to find the industry position which are directly related to atomistic or DFT ab initio simulations in general. So that's why a lot of people are now moving in more into the world of data science or machine learning applications. But in general, actually, I wanted to ask you out of my own say experience or initiative. Do you have any final recommendations to give to young PhD or postdoc students which are recently decided to explore alternative opportunities compared to academic research? Do you have any suggestions or recommendations that you could give them?
No, I mean, you just have to jump into it. I mean, so when I started atomistics, everybody said it will never work. I mean, so you can never make a business out of it. I mean, I have just bought a house at this time. I had a mortgage to pay, so I was taking a lot of risk. So, I mean, if you don't take risks, then you don't gain. I mean, and if you're young, I mean, you can always find another job. And I mean, yeah. So if you don't take some risk, you never. I mean, you don't. You often don't experience the fun stuff, and so take some jump into it, take risk. I mean, of course you need to think about it. I mean, you shouldn't do stupid things, but yeah. Things mostly turn out, and you cannot figure everything out beforehand. I mean, so if you try to figure everything out in life, I mean, then you go nowhere.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, thank you very much for your final remarks and suggestions. So at this point, considering that there are no more open questions in the Q&A section, I propose to then thank one more Dr. Stockbroker for his contribution today and for his very interesting talk about his personal experience in the world of startup companies concerning the commercial applications of materials modeling and ab initio atomistic techniques in general. And with this, I therefore propose that we put an end to today's workshop, and in fact to the entire series of workshops, considering that this was our very final talk. Yeah, so in general, I mean, I can say it's been a relatively successful initiative. I mean, with many participants and many speakers from all over the world, and typically hundreds of participants in every session. So it's been very interesting and very exciting and successful experience for all of us. And so I would like to thank not just the speakers in general, but also all the participants in the audience which have decided to join and to listen to our presentations and our discussions. And therefore, I would like to thank everyone once more for their contributions. And at this point, I therefore propose to put an end to today's workshop, and therefore would like to say bye-bye to everyone at this point. Yeah. All right. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for today, and see you next time. Thanks for Gabriel.
Bye. Thank you. Yeah. Bye-bye. Goodbye.
See you next time. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Bye.
হচ্ছে আমি ওই নামমাত্র অ্যাটেন্ড করি, কিছু করি না, করতেও পারিব না, করিব না। in research. এমনি বসে আছি। হুম হুম। তো এখন কোন ম্যাডামের কাছে পড়িস? হ্যাঁ, সেটা কোনটা জানো? হ্যাঁ, মাঝখানে তো ওই যেখানে সবাই পড়তে যেতিস সেখানে ঢুকেছিলিস তাই তো, যখন রিদি পড়ালো না? না, রিদি নয়, কি জানো, ঋতবর্দি, হ্যাঁ। ওই ম্যাডামটাই কি, যেখানে সবাই পড়তে যেতিস? হ্যাঁ, পরে চেঞ্জ করেছিলিস না? না, একটা জায়গায় প্রথমে সমন টম সব শিখেছিলিস না, তাই বললাম। কি ফটো? কোনটায়? আমারটায় আমি যেটা করে দিয়েছি? টেক্সট র্যাপিংয়ে গিয়ে মানে কীরকম করবি? ছবির মাঝখানে না দুটো লাইনের মাঝখানে তো? স্টেপ বাই স্টেপ কিরম লিখছিস, ফ্লোচার্ট? তাহলে এ কর, ইন ফ্রন্ট অফ টেক্সট করে এবার যেখানে খুশি পেজের মধ্যে যেখানে খুশি রাখতে হবে। ইন ফ্রন্ট অফ টেক্সট, ইন ফ্রন্ট টেক্সট র্যাপিং এ দেখ। দেখ, ডান দিকে নিচেরটা। হ্যাঁ চলে যাবে তো। কি কি আরে না না, আরে ভুলভাল না, কি করবো, ঠিক কথাই তো বলেছি, ওরকম তো করবো না। ঠিক আছে ওরকম করবো না, কি করা যাবে কি? কি গন্ডগোল হয়েছে? ফ্লো চার্ট মানে বুঝিস? অ্যারো দিয়ে কি করতে পারছিস না